Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another installment of Lyles Figure Files. Today, I am responding to a viewer question, and like I always say, if you've got something you want me to talk about, hit me up. I'm happy to do a whole episode about it. This question slash comment comes from Ian Goodchild, who is responding to the "Are collectors our own worst enemy" episode, where basically I was griping about all of the issues that we as collectors contribute to helping these companies decide, let's raise these prices, let's throw out these whack figures and they're going to buy it, and just all the ridiculous cycle that we continue to perpetuate as collectors. So Ian wrote in, "I don't want an adversarial relationship with Hasbro. I want to love the figures I collect just like I did, say, 3 years ago. But I'm getting to think that's impossible. Social media is not the place for constructive dialogue. You can find 10 million videos blasting cardboard and current prices, guilty, which is broken and a huge problem for the line. But a constructive, practical, here's 10 ways that Hasbro can win back the fans with Marvel Legends type videos? None." Well, I'm about to add one, Ian, because that's a great point, a very good question. We as collectors are super disgruntled. We've been voicing our displeasure about all the things that Hasbro is doing wrong, from the prices to the no more plastic. No more plastic, so that way it's a crapshoot with the paint jobs. Who knows what we're going to get? Really questionable character selections. There's a lot of stuff that Hasbro is doing wrong. So I took some time and I decided what the heck would have me excited about Hasbro's Marvel Legend brand. Because every time there's a G.I. Joe live stream or a hint of news from the Classified series, I am super excited. I can't wait to see what they're going to reveal. And while it may just be more Tiger Force and Python Patrol editions, I'm really looking forward to those regular Real American Hero translations in 6-inch figure form. Hasbro's Marvel Legends line has gone on for a while. So when 2014 hit, the MCU was dominating. Hasbro decided to refocus on its 6-inch line, and they made major improvements. No more ball joints. We got those removed, and the figures look so much better. And from then on, the love affair with collectors and Hasbro was going full steam ahead, and it was great. We have so many amazing characters. I have phased out most of my Toy Biz figures at this point because Hasbro has created much better versions. And every time I look at my Marvel Legends shelf, I get excited. It's like, man, I can't believe I have all these cool figures from Hasbro. So I wanted to put that context out there because it's not a thing of, oh, I hate this line, it sucks, they just done such a terrible job with them. It's just a thing of how can we rekindle that same love like from 2014, 2017, 2019. Here's my list. Now this isn't comprehensive, and I'm sure if I spent some more time on it, I could come up with 10 more reasons. But these are the ones in no particular order that I think would really get collectors excited about Marvel Legends again. Number one, complete a team in 2 years. That gives you enough time to plan, map out how we execute the rollout of these teams. But Hasbro over the last 3 years has continued or introduced teams that could get completed with 4 or 5 more members. That includes the New Warriors, the Thunderbolts, Exiles, Reavers, Alpha Flight, X-Force, X-Force version 2, Uncanny X-Force, the Invaders, Serpent Society, Winter Guard, the Inhumans. There you go. Got to make sure we show Karnak. But there are lots of teams in the Marvel Universe, and it's not a thing of, oh man, if we knock out this team, what else can we do? There's so many. And again, 2 years is a nice wide open span of time where they can slowly crank out a few more members of a team every other wave, every 3 waves, and still get it knocked out. We've seen box sets like with Alpha Flight, but then there's still a few more straggling members that are left out, and it's kind of, why not just complete the teams, guys? The Hellfire Club's another one. I mean, they've introduced a bunch of these teams, and there's no reason not to finish it. And I think if you got that sense, people who are fans of the Invaders, the Thunderbolts, New Warriors, etc., even the Inhumans, could be great. Now I have incentive to complete this team the squad that I've wanted. My favorite team is now on my shelf in figure form. But if you had that lingering, when are you ever going to get this last member out of a team? Oh, hey, Banshee, what's up? Just do it. There's no reason not to finish the team. And then move on to the next team. Young Avengers, Era 1, 2. I mean, there's so many. Keep them coming. Next up, keep Hasbro Pulse stocked. It's weird that you can go onto Hasbro's website, where it should be the home of all these various lines, and you see so many figures sold out. And it's just so weird to me because why can't Pulse be the hub center for where you can get everything? Oh man, I missed this figure that came out 4 years ago. Great, it's still in stock. Now, if you want, here's a simple way. They're more expensive. You have to pay for shipping, whatever. So if you charge $30 for these figures on Pulse that maybe been backdated, sold out everywhere else, that way collectors know if I can't get it from anywhere else, I know I can get it from Pulse. And I don't have to worry about traveling to the depths of eBay, paying all their ridiculous fees. I can just pay a more expensive price on Hasbro Pulse. $30. And then, maybe the further back a wave gets or another year in, another $5 gets added to it. So like a figure in 2017 would now be $35. Just something like that where it doesn't have to be a thing of all hope is lost. Maybe they'll put another version of this character out again that I really want. If you missed out on the John Byrne Cyclops, it shouldn't be, there's no other hope. Hasbro Pulse should be that hope where you can just find everything you want right there. And continuing on to the Pulse thing, I'm just going to skip ahead. Stop the caps on army builders. The whole point of an army is to build as many as you can afford. And I think it's weird that when there were the Skrulls, the Shield 2-packs, you had a cap of like 5 or 3 of these figures. And it's like, why can I only get 5 Skrulls? I want more. I want 20 Skrulls. And I don't think there should be a reason. I mean, there's no real reason for that. They were in charge of putting these figures out. And I can't imagine why there was any scenario of which, oh no, people want way more than 5. What do we do? Let's put a cap on it to 5. If somebody wants to buy 500 Skrulls, let them. I don't see how that affects anything with Hasbro stock. And I'm sure the shareholders cackling in the corner going, let's raise the prices more, would be upset selling more $15 figures to people. I just definitely don't get that one. So no caps on your army builders. Number 4, it's time to stop the nickel and dime enhancements on figures. This is a Star Wars mentality where it's like, oh look, we've put the robe on Jedi Luke. Now you've got a whole other figure. Now we've got Luke with the vest on. And we've got Luke with the flap down. All from Return of the Jedi. Hasbro doesn't need to do that with the Marvel Legends line. We just need one definitive version of Captain America in his red, white, and blue classic attire. And I get it. Articulation improvements will change over the years, but I don't think we need to have a situation where every year is the new, greater and better Captain America. Oh, look, here's a new and improved Spider-Man. I think the better approach to this is give us a span of 5 years with that one really good figure so we don't feel like, oh man, now they've changed the color of the Iron Man arc reactor from blue to yellow like it is in the comic. And now the costume's in gold with the yellow arc reactor. Get it right the first time. I don't think people are going to be upset when there's a better figure that comes down the pike in a reasonable amount of time. But when every year it's a new and improved version, as the prices go up, there's a little resentment that builds up from that. So here's a look at some Captain America figures that could be alternatives. So you don't have to dip into the well of the classic red, white, and blue attire. And then just for fun, I looked up, hey, how many Thor versions are there? There's no reason at this point. I mean, it's wide open for Hasbro. They can do whatever figure they want outside of those amalgam figures with DC. Do these figures, mix it up a bit so it's like, okay, cool, I don't have to get another Thor that looks like the classic version that you've tweaked oh so slightly. Here's some more versions of Cyclops. Tons of options for him. And that way, When collectors, when there's a new mold where it's like, oh look, we're not using this Bucky cap anymore, we've got a new and improved one, put the burn, Cockrum, Cyclops attire on that. So people who've missed out, people who got that figure way back in the day can be like, oh man, this is such a better version of that figure. I don't mind paying for it. But when you're paying for the same figure over and over every year, that's not cool. Like, we don't need this 20th anniversary Captain America to now come with a black shadow over his cowl just because that's how it looked in the comic, and then slightly tweak colors, and then we're going to change the pants up oh so slightly. Just do a basic, this is our best version of this figure for now. Give yourself a time frame, 5 years. We'll come back to it. That's definitely one way people wouldn't feel burned about having to buy the better version right after that. Next up, smarter design choices. We've seen Hasbro through the course of the years make some decisions that don't really make a lot of sense. I kind of wish I could slap them with some truth serum and have them explain why they came up with some of these choices. Like the X Factor version 2 Cyclops with the optic blast exhaust coming from his visor. Now this is the first of 2 head sculpts. The other is a yelling one with the optic blast that comes out. But Cyclops is a pretty neutral character, and he can't sit next to his X Factor crew without the optic blast attachment. That was a weird one. Also, another questionable choice was Super Orange. Oh my gosh, it looks even worse on the camera. Tigra, when the original Hasbro version of Tigra actually had her correct color skin tone, or fur tone in this case. That's really bright, super orange, super like neon. It's just an odd decision. By far the worst is this guy, and I'm sure this surprised a lot of you. The Hood. The guy's name is The Hood. For some reason, Hasbro decided, let's botch the execution with the Hood's hood. So it can't sit here properly on him. It just moves. It hinders all of his articulation, and it's just a mess. You can't turn and do anything with the hood the way it is. Unlike other hooded figures that had it as a separate piece. For some reason, his is different. And it's just one of those deals where that didn't need to be a included featured mistake. We've seen them do better jobs with figures. So why do that in the first place? So I love to see them come with better executions of characters and just go with the approach that this could be the only version of this character that we get. And again, this goes back to my no more nickel and dime enhancements. Look at it like this is our one crack at the hood. How do we make it the very best figure we can? We're not going to do another version of X Factor in this attire. How do we fix it? And how do we make it so it's the perfect version for characters, for collectors who love this version of Cyclops and don't want to have to try to figure out how to cut off these exhaust blasts? So those really bother me, just in a sense of like, these were preventable mistakes. And I feel like Hasbro really takes that approach of, this is it. This is our one take on this character. We'd see a lot better versions of characters that don't have these questionable choices with them. Now, this is something that they're starting to do, and I commend them for it. So I want to just state it and make sure it's on record. Keep the comic book and the MCU lines separate. So no more mixing and matching where it's like, here's 4 versions of characters from a movie and 3 comic book characters, and we're going to make the build figure a comic book figure. Because I feel like if I don't care about a movie, I don't want to have to buy 4 movie characters to get the comic Build-A-Figure that I want. And in the case of the Shang-Chi wave, I would have preferred just the dedicated Shang-Chi wave and a Mr. Hyde that actually looks like the comic book version of Mr. Hyde, not whatever that was that we got. So that's something that I've seen them starting to do with the Thor Love and Thunder, the Eternals. Keep that up. I mean, you guys are doing Build-A-Figures on smaller MCU figures anyway. There's no reason not to keep that going, especially because I like to have my comic book waves. If I'm so inclined, so invested in an MCU property like the What If wave, then it's just fine to just do it as a standalone separate waves and no commingling anymore. We see this occasionally, but I feel as if this improvement would help out a lot. Include alternate portraits on all figures. I know we see that sometimes with characters and it's like, great, we've got our Riri Williams figure. She's got the helmet. She's got the unmasked sculpt. That's perfect. But I'd love to see a character, maybe even like this trash version of the hood, come with a non-yelling expression. That way we get both kind of takes on the character, one where he's in action and another where he's just talking to his crew, not in constant yell mode. Or for a character like Banshee, who doesn't always yell and scream while he's using his powers. He's just talking normal, regular. So it'd be nice to get that with every figure. And I don't think that's too much to ask, because we've seen some figures come with as much as 3 different head sculpts. So just including that with everyone would help. And I think that would be something where I see that included with my figure. I feel like, okay, that extra head sculpt is worth $2 or $3 extra dollars, which in my head would then justify the $25 price increase, where it's like, okay, or the increase to $25. Don't get any ideas, Hasbro. So that would be definitely something that I think could help a lot. Another one would be including accessory packs. Now, maybe that's smaller accessories with every figure, or just a standalone set of accessories. Things which you can include are guns, which you could use for all your villain bad guys who are just random cannon fodder for our heroes, AIM, Hydra troopers, regular street level guys for Punisher, Daredevil, Spider-Man to beat down. Maybe something like Captain America's Electro Shield. We haven't seen that. That would be a cool addition. Different versions of Mjolnir. There are all kinds of accessory options for these characters. I'd love to see those kind of things. Swords, axes, just whatever. Just include a pack of those every so often. And then maybe some character specific things, like something that Mr. Fantastic would use. A lab coat would be a good accessory to include as well. Just things that we could use to enhance that overall Marvel Legends experience. So then we've got these retro figures and these 20th anniversary sets. Not a huge fan of the retros because they don't include Build-A-Figures. So one thing that would definitely help for me with those, and to get people excited about them, because they're going to have to change them with this plastic mandate anyway. So use this as an opportunity. Go fully retro. Go include a Build-A-Figure piece with your retro figures. So this way, I mean, they're doing theme waves. They're doing X-Men. They're doing Fantastic Four. They're doing Spider-Man. It's not like just a hodgepodge of characters from various different lines. They're all themed anyway. Include a figure, and it doesn't need to be a giant. It could just be something like the Fantastic Four wave having an Alicia Masters figure, or something that connects, so we get that retro feel and we still get the usual Marvel Legends presentation with a figure and a piece to complete and build another figure. With the 20th anniversary figures, I complained big time about the price discrepancies from the two standards with Captain America and Iron Man, and then how Hulk was more because he used more plastic, and then Toad being more for reasons because he uses less plastic, and those Toads he comes with are super heavy on whatever. Anyway, let's make them a full retro experience. If you want to go that way, you want to make a big blowout, hey, here's the 20th anniversary thing, include bases. That was something that was really cool with the original Marvel Legends from Toy Biz. It was, oh man, Colossus has this part of a Sentinel. Mr. Fantastic has a Fantastic car. That was crazy, just thinking about those kind of cool inclusions and bases that we got with figures. Ghost Rider actually came with his bike. There was no deluxe pricing. There was no, hey, we're going to charge you extra because he's coming with his bike. It was just, here you go. And that was, that was the golden age, of course. But I'd love to see just something a little extra. So if you're going to do this big blowout, that Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, for example, should probably come with a figure for him to clutch, like that cover, instead of, here's $27 and we're just going to give you the same standard Marvel Legend figure with a couple of extra hands and a few web accessories. I don't think that's good enough. And the deal with Mafex and Mezco, all these other lines that charge more, deliver more. And I don't think Marvel Legends collectors are going, oh, we don't want this figure. It's just, we're seeing what other companies are charging and how much more they're giving us. And then we look at Marvel Legends and Hasbro's charging us more for the same thing we've always gotten. Whereas the Minifex, it's like, man, there's so many different accessories in this piece. Oh wow, look at all this stuff that comes with this Mezco figure. This part lights up. And we can argue if those are necessary, but at least you can go, all right, they're charging 30, 40 extra dollars because this piece lights up. Whereas with Marvel Legends, it's, oh great, there are two more hands and he comes with some toads. Not good enough. So I love to just see them go all out with this deluxe pricing. So if a Hulk figure is $41 just because he's so massive and big, include a base with Iron Man and Captain America. So it's the same kind of deal. Not we're going to charge you more because Hulk is bigger. That's not cool. And finally, my absolute last thing that I think would help Hasbro get people excited about Marvel Legends again is going back to the roots of Marvel Legends. Those figures originally came with comic books, and it was a great way to have that shared interest that, hey, we're going to, scratch your back, you scratch ours. And in the comic books, you'd see ads for Marvel Legend figures. I would love to see them, if for whatever reason they can't include comic books, even though we have an event like Free Comic Book Day where free comic books are just given away to comic book stores, maybe include a digital code so we get that connection so people, collectors, can find a comic book they read. And we see these packages and they've got all this artwork, and I'm always like, hey, I reached out to the Marvel Legends marketing team. Hey, who drew this one? This is great. What cover is this from? What book is this from? And I'd love for that to just be part of the package. This is from issue 355 of the Avengers and drawn by etc. etc. I mean, we always act like, oh, we love these artists and we care so much about them. But that's a simple way to give them some more credit, more attention to their artwork. Maybe fans will be like, hey, let me follow this person on Twitter, reach out and support them, get a commission, etc. It's just, Marvel Legends is based off of comic books and to a lesser extent movies, but there's a way to connect those two worlds, get people more involved in comics. Comic sales aren't great right now, and this is another way to do that. Have that synergy between the two, have Hasbro and Marvel Legends and Marvel Comics coincide, do a little bit of business again, and not so much, hey, here's a cover with how this guy would look as a figure. So those are my top 10 ways right now that Hasbro could restore our interest, or at least mine, in collecting Marvel Legends again. I would love to hear what you think about this because I feel like the comments on this one are going to be very insightful, and maybe Hasbro will check them out. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you as much. Thank you as much. Thank you as always for tuning in. I'm loving interacting with you guys. Thank you all for supporting and following and subscribing. It's awesome. So much appreciation. And again, definitely trying to respond to everyone's comments. Thank you so much for watching. This episode of Laos Figure Files has been filed.